Hi everybody, it's Tani here. I've just come from the hairdressers. As you could probably tell, I'm all shiny and bouncy. And the hairdresser who worked on my hair is actually on a very deep spiritual journey. So it ended up being a really profound connection with him, and we got into a very deep conversation. And he's someone who's working very deeply with energy and bringing information through and is super awake. And he asked me a question, and I felt it was good to answer it for you guys as well as for him, because I thought it might be helpful for other people with the same question. So the question from my hairdresser was really, how could he relax about money, because he's no longer focused on material things. He's no longer interested on material things. He's working with energy and with this connection to his higher self, and that's his focus. But sometimes he feels worried that he's not going to have a nest egg because he's no longer caring about his financial security, but it makes him anxious. And that's very, very common for people who are on a spiritual path, especially at the point when someone's at circle or spiral, even at diamond, and they're working deeply in an internal sense. They're doing their inner work, and the priority is much less on external security. And what I said to him is, in a way, you still have a bank account like you had when you were at Square, or like people do who are at Square. It's just a different kind of bank account. So at Square or Pyramid or Radial, and for many people also at Diamond, they are turning to external sources of security. So their bank, the properties that they own, their income, their regular income from their employment, and they need that to feel safe because they're looking outside of themselves for safety at that point in their journey, and that's completely normal and completely natural and to be expected. But as you start to go through circle and particularly spiral, you are starting to look within yourself for your safety. And that can be scary initially, because we've been very conditioned in our culture that we have to have a stockpile of money. We have to have assets, we have to have savings. And that's come from the culture that's been at Square for so many decades and centuries. And it's a strongly conditioned program. As you start to come through circle and spiral, you're starting to trust that life has your back. So you don't need the external supports as much, even though you're conditioned to think that you need them. And in a sense, life becomes your bank account. Life becomes your financial security, because you come to know and you start to really believe and trust that at any moment in time, you will be looked after. The difference is, instead of going to a bank and looking at your stock portfolio or looking at how much income you have or looking at your savings, what you are building is your connection with life, your connection with the infinite consciousness, your connection with your infinite self, whatever you want to call it. That is the equivalent of a person at Square looking at their bank account to get security. You are not building your assets, you're building your connection. And as your connection gets stronger and your ability to tune in to life, to tune into the infinite, you will be guided at any moment what to do, what actions to take, what steps to take that will make sure you're protected. So when you're really, really tuning in truthfully and clearly to your own inner guidance, you're never going to be starving on the streets unless that's really needed for your growth or for your learning or for something you're going to contribute to the world. But for most people, that's not needed for their journey. You will end up with however much money you need to be comfortable and to do the work that you're here to do. So if you're here to do some giant global project that you need lots of funds to do, your own infinite self will find a way to give you those resources. You'll be prompted to take action that will bring that money to you. Or people will be drawn to you, or somehow you'll get a job that gives you that, or something you did years ago will suddenly pay off. There's lots of ways it can happen. But if you're not here to do such big work, you might just be here to live a simple life, and you don't need that much money to live a simple life. And many people who are on a spiritual path, really working with this stuff, start to find that if you ask them, have you actually ever ended up starving and on the streets? They'll say, I kind of always have exactly what I need. I never have more, but I never have less. And I'm always worried about it, but I kind of always get by. Yes, you will always get by. Life will always have your back. The only reason you're going to end up starving and poor is if there's some extreme reason for your own highest growth or your own learning or something you're going to then teach other people that you might need to have that experience. But for most people, you don't need that experience for your growth. It's not going to happen. You're going to be looked after. So the muscle that you're learning at circle, moving into spiral, and then very much when you're at spiral, is how to start to trust your connection to the divine, your connection to life, so that you can receive the guidance that's going to make sure you're always looked after, because you are always looked after. And the journey from spiral to toroid is really this journey of learning trust. And once you get to the point where you 100% trust that you're always looked after, you're going to be at toroid. Now, there are exceptions to that. There are some people at toroid who are strongly conditioned around money, and that is a little bit of lag for them. But they're going to be the exception. The vast majority of people, by the time they are at toroid or moving into toroid, they are at a point in their journey where they trust that life has their back, that the energy they give to the world will come back, that they will be looked after, that they'll always have what they need. They're no longer worrying about it. They're not thinking about it. They're not constantly checking their bank statement or talking about it all the time. They just know they are provided for. I've got a friend at Infinity. She doesn't really have a job. She house sits for people. She knows that at any point, another house sit will come, someone will offer her a place, or someone will give her a car, and it always happens. She's always ended up in beautiful places, but she's in complete trust, in complete surrender. And you can be at that place, but it's going to depend where you're at in your journey. So if you're circle moving to spiral, if you're in the early stages of spiral, you're probably not at that point in your journey. You could feel some anxiety. It's natural to feel some anxiety, especially when you're no longer interested in material things. You're no longer taking the steps that our society has conditioned you to take to ensure your financial security. And so people are probably going to be telling you, but you're crazy. How are you going to get through life without your superannuation or your stocks or your funds? So this is where it's really good to hang out with other people at your terrain and really see that there is another approach. You can start to build your trust in life. And the way to do that is to build your connection to your own higher guidance, your own infinite guidance. The stronger your connection gets to your own higher guidance, the more you will trust, because you'll start to see that when you follow the prompts of your own inner guidance, it always leads you to stability, to a feeling of prosperity, to being comforted, to being looked after, and you'll start to really trust that life has your back. And you really are part of a higher plan, part of a collective unfolding, and you're an important piece, and you're looked after. But yes, it can be incredibly challenging for people at spiral or moving into spiral, or even spiral aware at diamond, who are working with energy and deeply working with the inner journey and no longer externally focused on earning money, to let go of the societal conditioning to worry and ensure your safety by filling your bank with savings. So just know this is a trust walk you are on, and you're doing really, really well. It's part of your highest growth, and it's what you're here to learn right now at this point in your journey. If it's what you're grappling with right now, then it's what you're here to learn and master right now. So just go with it. Notice how you feel. Notice the anxiety when it comes up. Use any clearing modalities you know to clear the cultural conditioning and the collective conditioning around scarcity and the need for financial security, until maybe one day you'll reach a place within yourself where you just trust that you're always looked after. And I wish that for you. There's no need to get there. That'll happen when you're ready on your journey. And until then, just know that it's possible to be there. It's possible to feel a deep sense of trust and to know that you are supported and you're always looked after. That is possible for you. Okay, see you guys. Bye.